Hi. Okay, I forgot to change that thumbnail.
Hello, everyone.
What's that?
Name's changed.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's live. I have the amazing Fiona Lucas, who I will introduce to you in just a second. So just want to quickly say a little bit of housekeeping. If you are joining us live, please do let us know where you're joining us live from. And if you're watching me in a Facebook group, there is a link that you need to click in order for me to see your name. If you can't find that link, it's not a major problem. All I'd like you to do is that whenever you ask a question, just drop your name next to the question as you ask it, and then I'll be able to actually speak to you properly. So that would be really cool. So anyway, here we are, and today we are going to be talking about the customer journey. So we are going to be looking at all the different things around the customer journey, and we have the amazing Fiona Lucas to do that. So I'm going to introduce Fiona, and then I'll let her say hi. So Fiona Lucas is an Australian-based social media and online community strategist, mentor, moderator, speaker, and author. She believes in putting humanity first in all of our online engagements. She works with small businesses and large corporations developing innovative digital strategies for growth and engagement. Fiona has a holistic approach to strategy, ensuring that digital strategy is aligned with external goals and engaged organizations and minimizing risk to the businesses. She's fascinated by interactions between human behavior and technology and the social impact of tech. And something unusual that I asked her for, she's currently trying to master the art of dumpling folding. And this is one of her lovely examples of her work. How cool is that? That's super cool. Yay! We'll have to get you. Next time I'm out in Aussie, you'll have to make me some dumplings, which will be really
absolutely. And aren't we excited for borders opening and travel starting and all that?
Yeah, exactly. So I met Fiona quite a few years ago when we were working together on a project with Wave.video, and we've been friends ever since. So Fiona, do introduce yourself, tell everybody where you are in the world, and if you've got, just add your spin to it before we start the conversation.
Oh, you covered it pretty well. So I'm based in Geelong, in Australia, Victoria, which is about an hour out of Melbourne. We are just really happy because for the first time in a long time, we can actually travel to Melbourne. So they have had pretty intense lockdown over there. So I'm excited to be able to see some family next week soon. We haven't been able to catch up. So I guess, like everyone else, we're driven to online, and we've all been working our way through things. And I guess that having this chat with Anita today, just when we're talking about what to discuss, it was like, what I found, I've been doing a lot of mentoring. I've been working with Lauren Bartley at Impactivate and helping her out there a bit. And, it really is so many small businesses get really stuck they get mixed up between what a sales funnel is, what the customer journey is. And I thought, let's talk about that, because it's a really good way of working out how those digital dots will connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got to get those digital dots in. So I just want to say hi to Veronica. So Veronica's here. So, hey, I know it's early for you guys out in the States. And also, we've also got Marianne. Is it Marianne?
Marianne Robb. She's a good friend of mine. Oh, yeah.
So we've got lots of things. And I just let you know that where we are.
She's in Perth.
So I'm actually based in London. And whereabouts are you in Australia, Fiona?
Victoria, Geelong.
Okay. Yeah. So
hour out of Melbourne. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're, this is international, and we're actually using Restream to live stream to you all. So if you haven't heard of Restream, it's a live streaming tool. And what we're doing is we're using their new feature called Pairs. So if you're watching this on Fiona's social media platforms, it's because we've been able to link our two platforms together so that our live goes out on everybody's social channels. So if you want to find out more about Pairs, go and check out my YouTube channel. There are 3 really good videos on there about how you can set it up and how you can get started. And I'll drop the link to Restream underneath this as well. So we've got a few more people joining us, so that's great. So Ashley here's in Liverpool or Manchester, I can't remember, but she's up north where I've just come down from, actually, which is great. And we've also got Martin in Toronto. So hi, everybody. It's super cool that you're all here.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Marianne's going to get excited because she's in Perth, but she's from Canada.
Yeah, okay. So Marianne, my brother's in Perth, which is quite cool. He lives in Killaroo, which is sort of just north of Perth. So, and I'm from Australia originally. I was born in Whyalla, a little steel town in the south coast. So we're all internationally together, which is great. So first of all, we're going to start off with sales funnels versus customer journey. So I'm going to let Fiona talk about that, and then I'll talk about how, if the dots aren't connected, how we can get those connected. So Fiona, let's have a little discussion about what is the difference between a sales funnel and a customer journey.
Well, I think the main thing that we have to think about, because you always hear people say, get your funnel, get your funnel. The funnel is about turning your visitors that have come across your content into leads. And then you want them, obviously, to turn into customers. So it's more about driving them from, into a very deliberate step, a very specific action that you want people to take, which is the call to action that you put in within your funnel. So it could be, you're asking them to download a freebie. It could be you're asking them to buy a product, and all those sort of things. Sorry, and I'm just getting distracted because my LinkedIn just started on my side laptop there. I'm like, I can see myself with a delay. So, and obviously we have different funnels depending on what we're actually, trying to accomplish when it comes to that. The difference when it comes really to customer journeys is that what we're looking at is we're actually trying to map out the experience that a customer has when they come across your content. So I love it because it brings all that humanity in. It's actually, we're reaching in and we're really looking into who the person is and what their needs are, and we're wanting to create an amazing experience for them. And when we map the journey out, that's how we can really manage to do that. So I guess it's all about the customer experience. It's about identifying the areas that you can improve on, because when you map out your journey, it starts to become obvious, like, oh, there's a gap there, there's an opportunity here. And I always say it's an amazing experience for actually just finding opportunity within your business. And it can be quite an exciting experience to actually do that experience and to get right into the minds of who your customer is. Yeah.
So that people understand what we're talking about who are watching, do you have an example that you could perhaps just use, just off the top of your head, if you worked with somebody recently and you think, okay, I can just quickly go through the journey, and then we'll dig into the other things that we want to talk about?
Well, the journey is all about when someone first comes across your content. So you're looking at all the touch points that they have. That's the beginning of, like you're saying, where do they find me? Are they finding me, on social media? Are they finding me because they walked past a sign on my building? Are they finding me because they picked up a brochure in a medical centre? You really take a deep dive into everything that somebody is experiencing. So, for example, they might be on another site and you pop up for some reason, or you're a guest, like I'm being a guest for you today, and they have an experience of you from that. And then they get their curiosity up. They've got to go and start looking at what else you do. So you're mapping out how it is that they experience you and all the different areas that they can. And we look for the opportunities, because there might be things you're not doing that you can be doing. Sometimes we look at things you are doing that really aren't worthwhile either, because it's a really broad, big sweep of looking from the moment someone touches base with you in any way, all the way through to how you end up having them as a raving fan at the end. And it's every step that they take. So as we flesh out this discussion, we will talk about how that kind of works. So I guess it's, if you think about it, for a good example, is that somebody might come to your store and they're browsing. Sometimes they even chuck things in the cart. All of a sudden they go away. What happened in that journey that stopped them? What went wrong? What didn't gel that at the end? So it could have been that they got to the end and postage was crazy, because free postage is something that a lot of people look for.
Yeah.
So, so if that was the point, your journey will identify all these little steps that somebody comes to, and then you can go say, okay, that's where it's falling down. So what can we do to improve this? What offers can we make them? What changes can we make to our processes? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good, because I think that really helps to solidify that idea, especially to those people who haven't really got or aren't aware of a customer journey, because recently I've been doing things on funnels and we've touched on the customer journey, but a lot of people don't even have that funnel in place because they're not aware of the journey that their customer goes on. And that's where you get those disconnects. So let's look at one of the things you mentioned about stepping into the shoes of somebody. So we're going to look at that customer buyer persona. So it's almost like looking from above. It's like having a bird's eye view of what your customer is going to do, the pathway that they go through. How do they get through all the doors to go from, like you say, visiting your social to actually making a purchase or signing up for whatever it is that you offer. So dig into that a little bit for me, Fiona, if you can.
Well, I think it's always important that you have a look at, because most people, when you go, who's your ideal customer, they'll go, oh, everybody, or, you know, all women that have children, or, you know, they make this really broad sweep. And then you have to go, no, let's bring this down. Now, yes, you may have more than one customer type, but everybody responds to a different message. So the idea of creating a persona is to do a deep dive so that, you know, if I'm looking at Anita, I'm going to go, okay, so Anita's my ideal customer because she, you know, really wants to, you know, learn more perhaps about community development, right? So I look at then Anita and I'll go, okay, so what's her background? How educated is she? Where's she from? What's her lifestyle, personality? And I start to break everything down. Where does she get her information from? How does she like to shop? And you get a lot of this information from the surveys you'll do of customers, interviews, any other market research, or your insights that you're able to do. And what you're wanting to do is take an individual and humanize them, and then look at what are their pain points and what are they trying to solve. And that gives you the language that you need to address when you are marketing to that person, because there's such a disconnect. If the persona's not right, it's just, they're just going to walk away, because it's like, hang on, if I'm a 25-year-old, I don't want to hear about menopausal women.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You're not talking,
right?
And not talking, are you?
Same product might be useful for us, you know, but very different everything about our lifestyles and where we're at and how we think. So breaking down a persona and you know, I would say 2 or 3 is a good way to start, and just say, all right, here's this person. What do they love? What do they like? What would they respond to? And you start to really, really break it down. So it's a very, very powerful thing when you can start to break down and look right inside how that person works. And that's when we walk into this next stage of we're talking about the things that those personas go through. And so as a person comes across your brand, the awareness that they have about your brand, how they then consider what you're doing, and then what makes them make the decision. And if you've nailed your persona, it can make it easier, not only just to market, but also to see where things are failing. So hopefully that is clear.
Yeah, that is clear. Yeah, it is, because you bring me to this. I remember a while ago I was looking at, I was doing an audit, so I'm not going to name any names, but they were marketing to men with regards to male, like having your beards done and all those sorts of stuffs. But then on the front page of their website, it was all women. And it was like, hang on a minute, you know, you're just talking to the wrong audience, because if you're going to be selling products to men, you need to have men showing the products. Yes, women will, you know, is a great idea, maybe in with the men, you know, but actually you're talking about gifting products. Yeah, like for gifts, it really needs to be predominantly male orientated on your site if you're selling predominantly male products. So it's all about that whole message that you're sending off. So let's have a little look at the awareness, because obviously that comes into, you know, what are we doing online? Who are we speaking to? How are we speaking about people? How, I'm going to bring a little prop in. How loud are we shouting? You know, all those sorts of things. If you're shouting to the wrong people, they're not going to hear you, which is all about
exactly.
No,
so, what you'll just get crickets.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear?
Could you hear the crickets?
Yeah. So cool.
Bit of
So
fun.
cool. So yeah, so we're going to talk about awareness. So just talking to everyone that's watching, because I know there's a few of you watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, because we will answer them throughout the live or at the end of the live. And share with us if you've got your own ideal customer. Share that. Say who you think your customer is, and we'll have a little look at it in a second. But yeah, do share. Any questions, then do drop them in, and we'll carry on. And then as your questions come up, we'll answer them. So we're looking at awareness. So how do you look at your customer journey in an awareness sort of idea?
Awareness. So awareness is about you then getting into their shoes, and because buyers know the problems and the challenges that they are facing and what it is they're trying to solve, right? So what we need to do is think about how is the viewer, how's the person coming across your content thinking about their challenges? How do they view these challenges? And therefore, and what priority are they? So how do we start addressing? So we start looking at how, when someone's come across our content, is it answering, is it looking at where they've gone, I've identified a need. And that first bit of content they see, and this can be part of your funnel, the first bit of content they see is tapping into that. It's like, yep, we're also aware of that problem, right? You're not giving a solution yet because they're not ready for that. But you are saying, here is the challenge. And they start going, okay, yep, that's actually is what I'm trying to solve. And does it matter right now about that particular product? Because am I worried about the lines around my eyes, for example? Okay. So let's say it was an eye cream. And the person has looked in the mirror and thought, you know what? I think I need some bit of help at the moment. I'm not liking that I'm looking tired or puffy and those sort of things. And so then they think, well, what's the priority in the scale of things for that? And so the awareness is all around putting that into their perspective and then tapping into how big a problem is it for them. And when they go, okay, you know what? I know that I'll feel better about myself because there's nothing worse. And as someone with allergies and often have puffy eyes, I can tell you there is nothing worse than someone goes, oh, you look really tired. And you go, actually, I felt really great, but thanks for that. So then you start going, what can I do to make myself look better? So the awareness is, does that make sense? The awareness is all about tapping into the challenge.
Yeah.
It's the challenge aspect.
Yeah. So we've got Dave here who's saying, how about attracting customers to an Etsy shop, i.e. for full reefs? So obviously they're autumn reefs. So just elaborate what you sell. Obviously full reefs comes to mind that, obviously it's something that you would put up in your house, on your door, but just just explain exactly what that means to us a little bit more, Dave, and maybe we'll have a little look at how you could raise the awareness of that. And we've also got, Mariam has also said, obviously very close working with P, so it's like life has come full circle. And funny, I'm working with a group that I always knew I was most suited to mind and heart, but thought I needed to service everyone. Exactly. So I'm glad I'm finally not the bullet. Yeah. So Fiona, you obviously know Mariam a little bit more about what you've done with her and stuff like that. So
it took a long time of saying your audience is, she's an incredibly gifted lady and very talented with graphics as well, and the things that she does.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So Dave, obviously, if you're attracting, you've got an Etsy shop, which is, obviously for me, full reefs would say that, you design, so it's all to do with flowers and stuff like that. So it's all about standing out and representing what you're offering in a way that's attractive to your market. So your market might be local. So one of the things is not to speak to everyone. If you can't deliver outside your local area, then you should be just talking. Your audience is your local area. And I'm sure, Fiona probably know a little bit more about that, but that's where you've got to focus on. Raising your visibility in your local area will increase people coming to you for that aspect and not talking to everybody.
Yeah. So I just had to get my head around. That's autumn wreaths we're talking about,
that's right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So, so again, you've got to look at where that market is. Like in Australia, probably not a thing for us, right? We get Christmas but probably not now because autumn fall's not a thing for us. So you want to make sure that you're not putting something out so broad that it doesn't relate. But when you're looking, what is the challenge someone wants? Well, for them, they're going, I want to decorate my house, right? I am looking in that. And then they've got to think, well, how much do I want to do that? Is it a priority? So you've got to sell to them what the beauty really is. I think it's more about attracting the eye because you're making them aware of your product. They're aware that they want something, right? But they haven't decided yet whose, because there will be competitors for your product. If you're local, as Anita said, obviously Google My Business is really important to tap into on a local area. If you're doing local area marketing, it's so powerful. And quite often for stores, but Etsy stores being online, you often have a very broad audience. So I always say do a bit of research, go and look at what other people are doing, and you get that gut feeling how it matches with you and your own brand. Don't copy somebody else, but look at it with eyes of a buyer and going, okay, why might they be attracted to that one over me? Now, if your images, for example, are very kind of stock, come from a manufacturer, they're just a picture compared to maybe someone who has placed a wreath on a beautiful door. And suddenly the awareness is that I can picture this, right? Yeah. So you're bringing them further through the journey because they've become aware that they want this need. They're searching, right? They're searching for you. So your keywords come into this obviously as well, but they are searching for someone who meets that need, this consideration they have. So they've gone looking for full wreaths, right? And they've come across Etsy and they've found your site and they've probably gone, oh, I wonder what else is out there. And they start looking there as well. But if you've caught their eye immediately when they first came to you, they'll probably stay longer. If you've got the message right, they're not going to go, oh, I'm going to look at other ones yet. They're actually going to explore further. And sometimes if you've got it really right, they're not going to go anywhere else because they're going to fall in love with what you've given them. But you've got to make sure, like, they're consequent. So if I don't buy this now, it could be that you have a special offer or a timed offer or something like that that's making them start going, if I don't do this now, what's going to happen if I don't do it? Will it matter to me or not? Might I miss out? Right?
Yeah,
so that can come into it.
Yeah, and it's just said here that all the custom images with a high-res camera and photographic lighting. Yeah, and, I've just Googled it because obviously it's not really a thing in England either, but you're talking about your wife's business does it for all seasons. So one way of really attracting them is to point out that this whole autumn wreath is about embracing the new season, and it's about talking about standing out in your neighborhood because you've got this, you've made the effort to decorate your home in that autumn feel. But also having high-res camera photos is great, but maybe do some videos of behind the scenes and like show people that they can have this on their door as well, and the autumn wreaths that you can have in your home. And I presume it goes further than just the wreath. You might have some decorations and things like that. So it's all those sorts of things that will really help you raise their visibility. And what I'll do afterwards is I'll check out your website. So I'll just give you a little shout out there. So Take for Designs by Connie, if you want to go and check that out, if you're in the States and this is something that you're interested in. Even if you're not in the States, you're anywhere else in the world and that's something that you're interested in, go and check out Dave's site and have a little look at what he's got on offer, and I'll have a little look afterwards as well. So that's the awareness stage, is having the message correct, but also marketing your message to the area or the group of people that you want to sell to. Because like you say, if you're a local business, you really want to raise your visibility in that local area. If you're international, then you can speak to an international audience but still be specific about what it is that you're doing. So let's look at the next stage so that we can go through and get everyone, so that everyone can sort of get an idea of the 3 stages. So the next stage is consideration.
Yeah. So this is when, oh, sorry, you go.
Well, explain that to me, Fiona, but you're already started.
I started, yeah, you know me, I'm chatty. Yeah, so what happens is this is when really your buyer is now actively looking, right? So they've been made aware that there is a solution. They were thinking, I really need a new wreath on the door. I've got this old faded one I've pulled out of the cupboard. I don't like it. So I really want to find something. They've started looking. actively wanting, what are the challenges I face, you know? And so here's where the options that you're giving them. So again, that video can be really useful, but talk about different sizes, because everyone's got, you know, perhaps they might live in a, you know, they may have a narrower doorway. They might have a really massive double door. That, how does that deal with it? So if you can show them options that fit in to their lifestyle, to their needs, to what they care about, this is when they're going to start really considering you. And this is where like the videos, more examples of it on a site. If you can encourage people who've bought your goods previously to send in, you know, user-generated content is great. And if you can get people to send in real life, like this is what we got, you know, and here it is on our door, and doesn't it look amazing? Then that person is going to go, oh, okay. It's starting to make them feel like this is meeting my needs. I can see now that you actually are addressing what I want. Like, I can find all the options. It's easy on your site to find them too. So if sizing is important, particularly on clothing and things like that, you have to be, when they're in the consideration mode, you have to be able to address their needs, what they're looking for. And if it's really hard to find that answer, if they're going, well, do you have it in black? I can't find it in black. Why don't they just have a drop down of size of colors here? You know, so if they can't find it easily, that's when you can lose them, because they're going to go away. But if you make that consideration stage easier, where they go, A, B, so that's what I'm after, I can find it. Yep. Oh, there's the thing about sizing. Yep. They have, you know, 18-inch ones or whatever, and they have, you know, 24-inch one. Oh, I don't know what size they come in. You know what I mean? So that is and that lets them start to weigh up the pros and cons of buying with you.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because, and that's like for products, like you say, that consideration, giving them all the options. And just, if you're a service provider, you can do the same. So if you look at the audience that you want to reach out to, so for example, my membership, as an example, my digital lab and tech school, I have 3 different levels of membership for 3 different needs. So those people who just want to have that contact with me weekly and have access to all my courses, they join at one level. Those that want a little bit more of a touch point with me, like a quarterly check-in and planning, they join at that level. And those that really want to move their business forward, where they're accountable and they have a check-in with me monthly, they have a separate level. So there's those considerations. So you're not shutting the door on those that need more help, and you're not shutting the door on those that need less help. So that's something to consider when you're a service provider. Are you addressing the needs of all of your audience? And if you're not, create something that does address their needs, because create what they want. That's another thing to consider, isn't it?
Partner with somebody that can help you bring that in. That's the other way. So, for example, you might be perhaps you're like a conveyancer, you're working with property and things like that, but you've only got your ability to deal with the legal issues only goes so far. So then you might have a lawyer that you've joined up with who can, you know, help offer those other services that you make a deal with, so that you can say, yep, we've got this. You'll often see, you know, digital agencies that will have, here's all the people they work with. They may all be contractors and that sort of thing. Doesn't mean they're naturally working in that business like that, but they are complementing it by helping to add another service. So whether it perhaps it's that, you know, they're a great wordsmith, and if you're looking for blogs, they can say, look, we don't do blogs right here, but, and I'm like that, I've got somebody that I can refer you to that will help you with your writing. I don't do your writing for you, right? And similar to you, although I don't have courses at this stage, so when you're working with me, there are different packages of working with me, one for a specific thing, like doing these sort of deep dive journeys, or some people choose to put me on a retainer so that they have that monthly, you know, we're looking into, we're tracking their insights and those sort of things.
That's right. And that's really important. And that's the consideration. So that's super important. So Dave just said, what was the first stage? You tuned in a bit late. So just to recap before we move on to the final decision stage, what we've covered so far is the difference between the sales funnel and the customer journey. We've also looked at the customer buyer's persona. So like actually stepping into your customer's shoes and experiencing the journey that they take on your site at present, and what disconnects that there might be, and where they drop off the sales funnel and the journey. And then we've looked at the awareness, which I think is where you joined in, Dave, and we've done the consideration. So the next stage is the decision. So clarify that for me a little bit, Fiona.
Okay, so this is where, you've decided on a solution. So now they've decided, okay, I definitely do want to buy a full wreath. I know I do. But now I'm going to just search. I now know that I want it to be in this colorway. I need it to be this size. I want it to feature, perhaps, some bows or something like that, so that you've got in your head, I've seen what I want, and now they're only searching for the most suitable answer to that question.
They want. Yeah, that's right.
And that's hopefully going to be your brand. So you've got to think about and going broader than that is who really are the stakeholders in the decision. Are you only talking to the one person? So often when it's something like a wreath, they will be the person in charge of buying. If you're a service, though, it might be that the person who's looking to answer it is not the person who makes the decision. And so then you've got to make sure, how are they going to evaluate the pros and the cons so that they can then sell their decision, go, okay, definitely want to work with Fiona. I definitely want to work with Anita, that kind of thing. And they're going to go, and the reasons are blah, 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 and they can show it. So how do they determine that your product or service is exactly what is required, what is suitable to them? So they're right up to the decision, and that's when they'll make that decision. Because if you can answer those questions, if you can say, yep, they do what I need them to do that way. Oh, yep, they're in my local area, so I can actually see them face to face, because that might be something that matters to them. Whatever other criteria that they have for that particular, they're in my budget. That could be a big one too. And quite often with services, we don't necessarily put all our pricing up. So that can sometimes be that for that decision to be made, it's important. Most of us will have a free consult.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of thing. So, and that criteria can also be the thing that helps sway that decision, because they then have that contact with you and you have that opportunity to shine and show them all your magic.
Yeah, that's right. And then they get that opportunity to talk to you, which is why sometimes people don't often consider that touch point, especially when they're selling a product. They don't ever consider that touch point, or why would anyone want a call with me when they're buying a product from me? But actually, if you're offering personalized products, that call could be the turning point in their decision, because actually, they're actually bothered about talking to me, and that could be either a connection through a chat bot where it's actually you doing the talking, or it could be like a discovery, like a 15-minute chat on Zoom using something like Calendly. Just those touch points make a massive difference. If you humanize that decision making point, then
my word.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. That will really
hang on.
Hand services. We're going to have some music. Again. As you can tell, Phoebe's got a new little music.
I have got a new toy. I've got a new toy. So
a new toy to play with. But decision is really important, because I think that a lot of people lose people at that decision point because they don't have those options. There's a disconnect there. Yes, okay, especially if it's a low cost option, the decision is quicker because there's not as much money to spend. But like you say, if there's other people in that decision making process, then people will step back, have that conversation with those that make the decision. And if you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, you might be working from home on your own, and you might have other considerations like your home budget. If you want to purchase, say, a course, can I afford to buy that course? Will it bring me a return? Will I actually get value from it? And that discussion may actually take place with a partner or somebody that you live with. It's not always a quick crossover. And that's where that engagement and that visibility and those touch points on social become really, really relevant, because once they've had those touch points like this, for instance, you're getting to know Fiona in this live, you're getting to know me in this live. That's all part of that process, because then you'd go away and go, actually, they know what they're talking about. I've seen her do this and I've seen her do that. And, I'm going to make that decision. So sometimes the decision takes a little bit longer, and you have to have those steps in place so that you don't lose them. I think that's important as well. So we're going to go on to I mean, we've covered so much, Fiona. It's been absolutely amazing. And I hope that if you're watching the replay and you go through and you have any questions, then, do drop them in the comments, because we will be monitoring this. I will be putting a copy of this up on my website, and I will be linking Fiona's information in there. So just want to know, how can people work with you further, Fiona?
Yeah.
So I know
can I just add a couple of little things just before we go that far, if that's okay? Because one of the things I did want to say was there's Sprout Social did a survey, and they found that on average at least 64% of customers want to connect with the brand. They want the brand to connect with them. So when you mentioned the chatbots, that can be that connection. It's like they want to know that it's a personalized contact, but they also want to be authentic. So not a droll robot. Usually being able to say, yes, I want to talk to a human, or I want to book that free talk, that kind of thing is really important. But the other thing you can do then is look at the insights you get from your customer journey, and the mapping process helps you to refine it so that you can earn the customer loyalty, because you start working out what the things you can do that help them to really buy into it, and those things that make them go, wow. And when you can make them go, wow, or make a memorable experience, excuse me, that's when you really can have a really great, turn them around into a sort of a raving fan. So you do have to set goals for the journey map that you're creating. So it's generally what we start with is this current state. So that's when you are looking at what your customers are doing, thinking, and feeling as they experience your company.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I think that's super important. And that whole, I'm having a bot created at the moment, and because I'm all about connecting the digital dots, my bot's called Dot. So it's like humanizing it and making it so that there's that opportunity to have a conversation, because I don't like bots where you don't have an opportunity to talk to a human. It's frustrating. You go round in circles. So always try, when you're doing these connections, to humanize it so that there is that human connection, because it's so important. So before we wrap up, because I'm very conscious of everybody's time, because obviously you've been on it for a little while, which is absolutely awesome, and it's lovely that you've all been here throughout the whole thing. So Fiona, how can people work with you? I'm going to put some details about your offer in the chat as well, but just explain a little bit about who you help, where the areas that you help them in.
So I do a lot of this sort of work with small business owners. So we do the deep dive, and we start looking for those opportunities and helping them to map out. And from that, we might do a content mapping exercise as well. So that builds on it. I also work with people in developing community strategy and their business strategies as well. I also am there as someone who can be on tap for you to look at your insights, help you manage and refine your messages, make sure that the things you're doing are actually achieving what you want them to do. Because quite often we just throw stuff out there to see what sticks. And, I'll come in there and, I'm not afraid to say, get rid of that. It's not working. So I am going to apologise for my website, because my website isn't very good at the moment. It is getting as a new one not far away. But you can click on a free consult on there. And under my services tab, you should be able to find them still as well. So I apologise. Also on Facebook. You find me Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, the usual spots, Twitter. So you can connect with me anywhere there as well. I did want to mention that the deep dive, if you happen to be in Australia, in Victoria, there is a COVID assistance program that our Victorian Chamber of Commerce is doing. And if you needed digital help, you can write in there that you want digital help. I'm working with the Impactivate team with that, but there is a spot where you can say you want to work with a specific mentor. And you can get up to, if you are in Victoria, and it's running out soon, so I'm not sure how long it goes. I think sometime in November, but you can get up to 8 hours free. So, and sometimes it's all with me, or we do the deep dive and I go, you need full-on SEO help, so I refer you back to Impactivate's SEO expert. So that kind of thing. So it's a really, really exciting thing. But you can do my biz deep dive if you like. If you're outside of Victoria, unfortunately, you'll have to pay. And there is a link there for you to book that session.
Yeah, I've popped that in the comments as well. So that'll be really cool. So that's really, really good. I mean, hopefully you found that all useful. And if anyone wants to have a chat with me about connecting those digital dots as well, then I've popped a link to my discovery call in there as well. So just to get that connection going. Next week, we'll be back for another episode of Digital Dots Live. So please do tune in. It's every Tuesday. I'm playing around with the times at the moment just to make sure that we can cater for everybody. And I'm a bit like that. I'm a little bit of a flowy. I don't like to be too stuck on my times because I've got lots of things happening and there's lots of things that you guys are doing as well. But you can always catch the replay on my YouTube channel and you will find a blog about it in the next couple of days. So thank you so much, Fiona, for joining me. It's been absolutely amazing being back on the stage with you, with your sound. Perfect. And I look forward to trying out your dumplings the next time I'm in Australia. So now
absolutely.
I
can make them whichever style you like.
Okay, so thank you everybody for joining in. Thanks Dave for hanging out and for everyone else that's been joining us, Mariam and everyone else. So thank you all for joining us and I will see you all soon. Thanks very much, P.
Thank you.